Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Ashes, a modern day fairy tale series, book 1 by M.K. Harkins. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. Darkness shrouded the garden room in the 8th century castle where 70 fairies gathered for the Queen Godmother's midnight emergency meeting. The smell of lilacs and rich garden soil prompted Marilee to breathe in, letting the scent calm her. The lights flicked on and the queen entered the room. An indistinct murmur between the fairies settled into silence that hung in the air like a discordant note. Something major was up. A meeting at midnight had never happened before. The Queen Godmother approached the raised dais and sat on the golden emerald-studded throne. Her gaze flickered from fairy to fairy, hesitating when she reached Marilee. "As you know, we're facing a dire emergency on Earth," the queen said. The fairies remained in their chairs, hands clasped, and nodded. Marilee was in her last 100 years of training to be promoted to an official fairy godmother, so she hung on each word as the queen spoke, like a sinful man getting his last rites. "Young women aren't finding true love anymore," the queen shook her head. "Who can blame them? They're bombarded by reality shows with fake insta-love, empty social media gratification, and dating apps that promote no commitment relationships." The queen's first lieutenant, Lumina, placed her hand over her heart. "Not to mention all those poor girls swindled or worse from online predators professing their love. It's not safe anymore." Finetta, Marilee's homework partner, raised her hand. "What can we do? With all the cameras and internet, we can't physically appear to help them anymore. We'd go viral on social media." "That's correct. We have to remain hidden and give subtle nudges instead," the queen sighed. Marilee wanted to speak out. This strategy wouldn't be enough, judging from the past 30 years. Wisely, she kept her mouth closed until she remembered reading about a troubled girl who needed their help. "Can we be innovative?" Marilee closed her eyes for a moment, wishing she were back in bed and hadn't exposed her conflicting opinion. A murmur settled upon the other fairies. The queen raised an eyebrow. "We are bound by certain laws. What did you have in mind?" Marilee's face heated and she broke into a sweat. I'm not sure yet." She had a plan, but it would never be approved. Some of the other fairies tittered. "Quiet," the queen pursed her lips. "Any ideas are better than nothing." She looked down at Marilee. "Are you willing to take on the challenge of the Ashley Adams case?" Marilee swallowed. The girl she'd read about. If she accepted, her assignment promised to be the most difficult in centuries. It could also cause her to lose the last 100 years of work if she wasn't successful. Regardless, she answered, "Yes, I'll take her case on." The Queen Godmother nodded. "Lumina, can you go over the details?" "Yes, I have it all here." Lumina waved her wand at the blank storyboard on the east wall. A picture of Ashley appeared. Lumina sighed when the bio lit up with the details. "Ashley doesn't believe in love anymore. Her mother died when she was a toddler, and her father passed away last summer. She was left with a wicked stepmother and 2 horrible stepsisters." "Oh, that's terrible," and "How sad," rumbled through the fairies. "Ashley started her senior year at Redmond High School in the fall and views herself as an outsider," Lumina continued. "She wouldn't recognize her true soulmate if he showed up at her front door with a bow on his head. She's built an impenetrable wall around her heart." Marilee had witnessed this before. A promising young woman full of potential and optimism, but in imminent danger of becoming bitter and spending her life alone. Right now, Ashley's future looked dark. The queen glanced around at the fairies. "And what's worse, there will be many people who will want to keep them apart, and they'll be ruthless. But do you know what Ashley's biggest obstacle will be?" Silence filled the large room. Marilee took a deep breath. "Herself?" A smile from the queen came slowly and warmed her eyes. "Yes." "If she's not open to love, how will she recognize her soulmate when they meet?" Finetta asked. "By thinking outside the box." The queen cast her eyes down upon Marilee. But you won't be permitted to bend or break any rules. Is that clear? Yes, but Marilee's plan would bend more than one rule, and a few more would need to be broken. So she bit her tongue. You'll need to be gentle with Ashley, the Queen Godmother said. She appears as tough as an NFL cornerback, but she's been deeply hurt and hides behind the armor of mistrust. Also, I sense a darkness following her. You'll need to be watchful. I'll do my best, Marilee said, but her confidence waned. Could she pull it off? Her heart fluttered faster than a hummingbird's wings. She left the castle with a heavy weight in the center of her chest. Humans were a complex species, kind and generous, but also capable of supreme selfishness and malice when people lost hope. With the new technology on Earth, the past 30 years have been dark and sometimes scary without the help of the fairies. That was about to change. Chapter 1. Ashley. Don't believe them. Whoever said high school would be the best years of your life lied. Senior year was a living nightmare. Why even bother? Unless, of course, you thought the practice of torturing kids who didn't measure up was an education. Redmond High School had all the typical groups: athletes, math nerds, potheads, and science geeks. But the worst, and by far the most active and dangerous, was the popular clique. The girls spent their days talking about the newest Insta celebrity, spa days, and designer clothes. The guys did whatever the girls told them to do, so they were no better. This group grew bored often and easily and took it upon themselves to make the lives of other students miserable. Today was apparently my turn, because the head tormentor, Brittany Thompson, and the crew sashayed my way. They stopped in front of my table in the cafeteria. Did you see what Ash Girl is wearing today? Brittany announced. OMG. I think she has leftover dead people on her sleeve. Her gaze swept over me as if I were an insect she'd discovered in her half-eaten Caesar salad. I looked down to do a quick assessment. Sure enough, small flecks of gray ashes stained my right cuff. Ugh, the smudge gave them more ammunition. Working part-time at my family's funeral business didn't mix well with the high school herd. Brittany flipped her hair over her shoulder. Isn't that sweet? Ashley brought her after-school job at Adam's death house to the lunchroom. She cocked her head and pointed at my sleeve. Is that Mr. Henderson who died last week? Her band of followers snickered behind their manicured fingernails. It was Adam's funeral home, but whatever. Yeah, I yawned, and for a little fun, I wet my finger in the water bottle, dabbed up the gray patch, and then put it in my mouth. He's delicious. Now, some people might say I provoked them on purpose, and they'd be right. The gray stain was from moving concrete blocks for Veronica, my stepmother. Her squad gagged. Brittany's face paled, then turned fiery red. Hands clenched, eyes narrowed, and with barely contained shaky voice, she said, You do know who I am. I'd been at the school since September, and it was now January, so yeah. Yep. My unimpressed expression locked with her ice blue eyes. She looked away first and with a huff stalked off with her rabid little puppies in tow. Score 1 for the outcast. A loud bang sounded as a stack of books landed on the table, shaking me from my mental high five. Uh-oh, now you've gone and pissed off the queen. Laura Vanetta, the only senior to enroll after me, slid into the seat on my right. She pushed back her long blonde hair and winked. We had 3 classes together, and Laura was by far the smartest in all. She was also my only friend and had completely saved my sanity since she'd arrived. I shrugged. I think Brittany's even saltier than usual with the famous singer starting school next week. Harry James, the king of pop, or was it the prince of pop, would be Redmond High's newest enrollee. Those appointments for hair, nails, and lip fillers are hard work, you know. My eyes did an exaggerated roll. Because we needed more high school drama. But it's so exciting. I can't believe his probation includes attending a regular high school. She sighed like a lovesick fan. Don't forget our pact. Leave him to the squad. He'd pick you over Brittany in a flash because look at you. I motioned from her streaked blonde hair, gorgeous face, toned body right down to her feet. Who wouldn't want to date you? Brittany will blow a gasket and she'll have her band of followers torment you. We already know he's a player and a troublemaker. You're too smart to get caught up in that. Laura shrugged. I know what you mean, but he's just so pretty. Laura's hotness rating scale went from good-looking, handsome, gorgeous, and the absolute best ranking, pretty. But not worth it. I know, but I'm still going to look. A sly smile crossed Laura's face. I shook my head. Laura laughed. Besides, why do you think he'd only be interested in me? Have you looked in a mirror lately? She raised an eyebrow. Yeah. I picked up a lock of my dark brown hair. Except according to every news source on the planet, I'm not his type. Blue-eyed blondes are the only snack on his menu. Maybe he might like an exotic Polynesian beauty. I'd kill for your complexion. She tapped on my arm. I'd have to tan the entire summer to get anywhere close to your skin color. You're forgetting I'm half Irish. I have to tan for at least half the summer. I laughed. You know what I mean. Laura sighed. Also, I'd kill for your eyelashes. I've never seen real ones that long. Never comfortable with compliments, I changed the subject. What's with all the books? I motioned to the stack she had dumped on the table in front of her. Gotta look smart, grasshopper. She pulled out a lock of her hair. This shade doesn't scream Nobel Prize physicist. No. Don't go there. Everyone knows you'll be valedictorian. The books are overkill. Wait. Ben Dodd hasn't been harassing you with those stupid blonde jokes again, has he? Those idiots in homeroom thought they were hilarious. Laura had no interest in the whole popularity thing, and it drove both Brittany's squad and the guys insane. Nothing worse than a jealous, rejected boy. Laura's face reddened, and she looked down at the table. They think I'm a classic dumb blonde. Oh, no, you don't. You're not letting the popular dweeb get to you. The kindest, most real person I had ever met had one flaw. Insecurity. Laura's lips pressed together, and she shook her head. Not convincing. Hey, look, I get it, I said. All Brittany had to do was whisper in Ben's ear, and he decided I wasn't cool. Now the entire senior class treats me like I'm invisible. Well, unless they needed a verbal punching bag. Laura took a deep breath. I know, but he's like, the big thing around here. If he trashes me, I don't have a chance of making any regular friends. I put the back of my hand on my forehead. Oh, you wound me, Laura Veneta. Oh, of course you. She covered her face with her hands. Maybe the dingus is right about me. Not a chance. And I'm only teasing. I get it. Friends are important. It was the same way back in September. Laura's eyes softened. They're even meaner to you. I swallowed past the sudden lump in my throat. The pleasant numbness that usually squelched my feelings cracked and unwanted emotions seeped in. I closed my eyes for a second and buried them where they belonged. Thank you, coping skill number 1. Another victory. Back to feeling nothing. I don't care what they think or say. The only problem when I shut off my bad feelings, the good ones also went missing. Laura put her elbows on the table and propped her chin in her hands. Her eyes roamed the lunchroom. Listen, Laura, the reason they hassle me is because they think I'm a freak. I held up a hand when she shook her head. Don't worry about my feelings. When I came here, I figured my job would probably torpedo any type of social life. But you, it's pure jealousy. You're the smartest in the school and also the hottest. Brittany's head just about exploded when she first laid eyes on you. I remembered her expression, eyes bulging and hands fisted before her lips formed into the perfect pout. Competition had arrived at Redmond High School, and Brittany was not pleased. With dirt on everyone and their dog, she's got her finger on everyone's social grenade pin. It's not that people don't want to talk to you. They're scared. It's all about power. She rubbed her eyes. Don't need a bunch of cowards for friends anyway. I smiled. True that. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Brittany's first lieutenant, Kim Kelly, as she strode from the cafeteria line toward our table. Uh-oh. Trouble. She carried today's dessert, a large bowl of red jello, and a look of determination. I took a quick peek at Laura's snow-white hoodie, and I knew what Kim was about to do. That spiteful shrew. I'd seen this maneuver before, and it wouldn't go down anywhere near me. I stood and swatted the bowl before an accident happened. Unfortunately, or more like fortunately, the red goose splattered all over Kim's hair and clothes. Sorry, not sorry. Her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Speechless? Score another point for me. You, she said and raised a fist. You did that on purpose. Voices from surrounding tables chimed in. She's going to get it now. And did she really just do that? Yep, I sure did. And I'll do it again in a heartbeat if you try anything like that again. I always believed in telling the truth. I'm telling Mr. Duke, you're going to get in so much trouble. She scraped and clawed, trying to remove the chunks of Jell-O from her hair. Laura snickered behind her hand while looking down at her books. Without warning, a siren blasted. All activity came to a halt. Geez, what now? This place is a drama den. Laura blew out a frustrated sigh. I laughed. Don't worry, they aren't coming for me. It's just a scheduled drill. The loudspeaker crackled. Everyone go to your assigned section of the football field. Come on. I motioned toward the exit. She shuffled along, so I grabbed her arm again and pulled. Don't take all day. We have a test next period. The air outside felt different from where I'd lived in the South in a good, clean, crisp way. January in Western Washington tended to be unpredictable. The land of rain and rainbows would turn to sleet and even snow any day now. I loved it, but it was the only thing I loved about living here since my dad had died. The thought of him sent a shooting pain to my chest. Are you okay? Did you twist your ankle? Laura must have noticed me wince. Just a little, I lied. Let's get to our section. We parked ourselves north of the 10-yard line. Thankfully, we shared our drill space with the low-key band geeks. They gave us a nod, then ignored us. Laura lowered her voice. Thank you for back there in the cafeteria, but do you think you'll be in trouble with Mr. Duke? Her eyes searched the football field and landed on Kim Kelly. She's covered in red Jell-O. Kim Kelly had her cell phone out and her fingers flew typing out a message. Probably contacting mommy and the principal. I pressed my lips together and snickered. Laura elbowed me. You have to quit antagonizing that group. Who knows what they're capable of? I didn't welcome their revenge. They were about as sharp as a marble, but they had one hell of a mean streak. I can take care of myself. And you don't have to protect me either. Laura glanced down at her sweater. Would you deprive me of that fun? Don't say no. Laura was more sensitive than me. If they'd been successful with the Jell-O dumping, she might have cried, and tears to this power-hungry clique were like blood to a shark. They would circle first, then go in for the kill. How about we watch each other's backs from now on? Laura asked. You seem to be doing all the heavy lifting. Oh, sure thing. No way. The crackle and whine of the megaphone startled me. All clear. Students return to your fourth period class. I gave another whine and turned off, then went right back on. Except for Ashley Adams, report to the principal's office. I snorted. That was fast, even for Brittany's squad. I'll go with you. Laura hooked her arm in mine and pulled me in the other direction. I yanked back. No way. The chemistry test is in like 5 minutes. I'll be fine. She bit her lip. Will they mark you down if you're late? Nah, I'll get a pass and make it up after school. At least I hoped it would go down that way. She hesitated before taking a step back. You sure? Go on. I shooed her away. Now, I just had to deal with the principal, Mr. Duke.